So this video I want to recommend a documentary called League of Denial. It's about the cover-up from the NFL about the concussion issue. Um, and one of my supporters, let me know about the documentary. I just finished watching it. It's about an hour long. It's a great documentary. It's breaking up into parts. Um, if you want to watch the whole thing in one video, I think you gotta pay like $2. But if you just watch it in parts, it's free. There's this playlist. I'll put the link to the description section of this video. It's definitely worth a watch. I just finished watching the Concussion movie last night. Went to the theater to watch that, and I'm not somebody that watches movies normally. I just really don't feel any of these movies are worth it. But this movie really drew my attention when I saw the trailer. It's based on a true story, and it's basically just about the cover-up of the NFL, about this concussion issue and the dangers of football, and it's about the life, or the research of this doctor, Dr. Bennett Amulu, and basically he's just somebody who just exposed the dangers of football, and it's a great movie, just showing, you know, um, how one person can really make a big change in this world. But the documentary is great. Also, I recommend it for anybody to watch it too. It also shows like a football player who went through the ranks. He was seen as somebody that was really talented, and he was a great college football player, and then he got signed on to the NFL, and I think he had like a $3 million contract or whatnot for like 3-4 years, and then he just found out about this concussion disease, and he started doing his research, and then that pretty much turned him off of playing, and then he ended up just retiring after just one season, and then he was all over the headlines, and people were just like in shock that he gave up his football career to protect his health and safety. I really have great respect for him, for what he's standing for. I have great respect for the Dr. Bennett, who basically came upon that discovery. So basically what it is that these people that play football, from a young age all the way up until the pro leagues, they sustain like thousands of impact to their brains, and it has like a long-term damaging effect onto the brains that just can't be repaired. And it's not even detected. A lot of the stuff can't even be detected. Like it's not even something that becomes a concussion, but it's just a slow build-up that eventually just ends up making them go crazy like later on in age. And in the end of the documentary, it talks about a 21-year-old who ended up having severe, I think they call it CTE. I don't even know how to say the whole thing, but it's CTE, and at the age of 21 was like the youngest. And the research the NFL is saying is that 1 in every 3 football players will have CTE from playing football. But the real statistics is probably more about every single football player will have it, because that's what the doctor was saying in his interview, was that basically every single football player is going to have CTE. It's just going to be, and just some people are going to have it more severe than others. So you see it in the football, and even more dangerous is boxing. Is just well known that boxing is extremely dangerous, but they thought that football was going to be not as dangerous because of the protective gear, but pretty much the protective gear doesn't really do anything. It's just, they're still absorbing all the impact. They're using their head, as a weapon, and then their heads are clashing constantly, and they're just getting their brains jolted, and it's just going to have some severe brain damage effects later on in life. So to me, this whole thing that's going on of this being exposed, it's a big thing. It's kind of showing just the dangers of this type of violent sport to begin with. Not just combat sport, but just all these types of sports that are very risky. Football, boxing, cage fighting, wrestling, hockey. These high impact type of sports is going to have some damaging effects on the brain, and it's not necessarily going to cause death immediately, but it's definitely going to make you die earlier and give you some serious problems when you get older. You see Muhammad Ali even has like the Parkinson's disease. And this whole CTE also gets me to think about what happened with O.J. Simpson. I mean, I would say that he probably had CTE as well, and that's pretty much what um, made his brain go crazy to commit all this crime and murder people and stuff like that. It just you know they look strong and young when they're playing football, but after they retire, they start going downhill pretty quickly. And it just one thing the documentary points out is that, hey, they don't let you know the after effects of what these players go through after retirement. They just show you the glorious part of when they're playing and how they're performing. But when they retire and the pains and suffering that they go through and their families go through, they don't show you that. They just want to show you the good parts. And it's a huge multi-billion-dollar industry, and they're very powerful. And even though the scientific community is finding out through all this research that is very dangerous in what they're doing, they're still doing everything that they can to deny the truth. And they've spent a lot of years has passed by that they've refused to look at the issue and face up to it. And now this information is finally getting out there to more of the public to be aware about. But what people have to really see is that to really find out about the risks involved with engaging in these activities and just making the right decisions for themselves, and not just for themselves but for their families. I mean, the only reason why your children would be involved in football, boxing, cage fighting, or any of these types of violent activities is because you allow them to. If you did not allow them to do that, then they would have to put their energies into something else, into maybe studying to become a doctor or a dentist or a lawyer, or studying a type of art or playing music or just doing something more artistic and creative, opposed to just engaging this type of violent behavior. And another thing that people have to realize is that a lot of people just simply don't make it to the NFL. I mean, they pretty much put their bodies and their health at risk for nothing. They don't even get anything out of it. They don't get money. They don't get fame. They get nothing. And then they go through all sorts of, risky behaviors. And, they suffer so much brain trauma that, it's just clearly not worth it. I mean, these football players, if they go in there knowing that, hey, you know what, I'll probably die by the age of 40 or 50, but so I'm okay with that. I'm going to make a lot of money. I'm going to get some fame, and I don't mind dying early. They make that conscious decision, and they don't mind getting, having some serious complications with their brain and their health. Then they made that conscious decision. But the thing is, a lot of people don't know what's going on and what type of risks are being involved, and on top of that, there's so few people that actually make it to the NFL, that there's a lot of people out there that have suffered some serious injuries that will give them lifelong complications, and they don't even get any money or fame out of it. And those people, it's better off that they just realize the risks involved and just try choose to do something that's safer for their health, and that's still going to satisfy that urge to compete or prove themselves, or just to engage in some type of activity that they view as fun. So I think there's a lot to be learned, and I really want to focus a lot on highlighting this new information and this new because this is all over the media now. They just created a Hollywood movie starring Will Smith, and then now they got all these documentaries, and they got all these researchers, and they're talking about how Monday Night Football was first introduced like in 1970, and now it's like 2015, almost 2016, so it's been only about 46 years since the Monday Night Football got introduced. Since the Monday Night Football got introduced to to America, and it's like it took all this time to pass by for them to see the after effects of what football causes. Because football has been around for that many years, um, and you see what happens to these people that retire, and how their health just completely deteriorates, and how it affects their families. Now, they have proof to see like the damaging effects of it, and it takes some time. I mean, if this sport was only around for 10, 20 years, that's really not enough time to gather up all the evidence to prove like the risks involved. But now that more time is passing, there's scientific research that's showing how much damage these football players, what their brains go through, you know, and they already know the damages of boxing. It is very clear, but it's more of an individual sport. Boxing is banned from high school, and people already know the dangers of it. It's pretty clear, and it's an individual thing. It's not that many people involved, but so many people are involved in football that it's really having a big effect on their industry now that they've found out more about these health risks. And likewise, with the cage fighting, it's gonna fall down with it. They're all clumped together. The cage fighting, the boxing, the wrestling, the football, they're all clumped together to be. All of them are dangerous. But football is the number one sport out of all of them that's the most widely popularized, and where everybody just loves it, and it's such a big part of this culture that if the scientific evidence is pointing towards how dangerous it is, and then people start realizing the dangers involved and start to, decide to do healthier activities, then automatically that's going to affect the other violent sports that are trying to gain the attention and fame that football already has. So essentially, by directing this, protest, or this realization to the people that football is just a very dangerous sport that people have to be aware of, and basically be intelligent about whether or not they want to get involved with it, whether or not they even wish to support it by watching it. If less people start supporting it, and it starts generating less income and revenue, then that's directly going to start affecting all the other violent sports out there, including boxing, wrestling, cage fighting, and things of that nature. Then people can start directing their energies towards things that are more peaceful, more, creative, no matter it be music or dance, or just sports like tennis or volleyball or basketball, or just track and field, or just things that are just not as violent and dangerous. And that's what I've been promoting since I've been on YouTube. Is just basically mainly directed towards the martial arts community, is that we need to direct our energies towards more of a creative and positive expression, rather than something that's competitive and violent and egoistic and extremely dangerous. And I was mainly attacking the cage fighting for that, but really, now that the national attention has been drawn towards the NFL and how dangerous it is, that's exactly where I stand, as far as we need to be aware of what's going on, and we need to take responsibility and control, for our own lives, and then for our families, and making better decisions, as far as our long-term happiness, opposed to just short-term gratification, and I'm glad that the movie came out, and I'm glad that people are being more aware, and just basically doing what they can to promote something safer for the people out there, for the children out there. So I definitely recommend for people to take a look at the documentary, and get you to self-analyze, why you're involved, why you might be involved in such type of, such a violent sport, or just even why you're even appealed to it, why you're even appealed to watch it. I think that the less people that focus their attention on those types of violent sports, the more that we could put our money and our time into something that's gonna be more beneficial for this world. You know, no matter it be, rather than just spending all Sunday or Monday watching people play football, maybe you just spend that time with your family or exercising. You know, or just doing something healthier.